was voted the best speaker at our first ever event last year. Her story is compelling and her vision is undeniably enterprising. Not only does she think cash will become obsolete, but she says that in the near future we'll be buying fish and chips with bitcoins. Please welcome the wonderful the wonderful Sarah Heward, the co-founder of the Real Food Cafe in Tyndrum. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Elliot. Well, at 56, I'm not really celebrating that much, but thank you. It's really nice. And it's really nice to be in company, actually. My mum, who I care for, said to me, "What are we going to do for your birthday?" And I said, "Oh, I tell you what, Mum, we'll go in the living room for a drink before dinner rather than having it in the kitchen. Okay, let's mix it up a bit." That's about it. So, yeah, I'm going to be careful what I say around you, Elliot, because the Bitcoin thing was a bit of a throwaway comment. But, you know, who knows?
Austin's already got his headline for the next article, Bit and Chips.
Very good, he probably has. So, first of all, a little update from me and a little bit of background for those who don't know anything about our business. But I won't go into a lot of detail because I know that there's a lot of people who were at the Women in Fish and Chips last year. So I want to kick off by saying that we're currently closed, completely closed. And if we can reopen by the end of March, we will have traded for 15 weeks out of the previous 54 weeks. So why is that? Well, that is because we are in a very remote location. And just to put it into context, the children going to secondary school in the village that the business is situated in go on a 100-mile round trip every day. And there's only 130 residents in the village. So, you know, we are incredibly remote. So we absolutely rely on travel. And as soon as there are any travel restrictions in place, we simply cannot justify opening. So, as you can imagine, like many other people, the last 10 months for us have been quite a hell of a journey, and they continue to be. We've been through every emotion. An awful lot of stress and anxiety, particularly at the onset, where you know, we were dealing with the banks, and it took the banks quite a while to get their act together. It was a grueling process for us to make sure that we shored up our business as well as we possibly could, because we just didn't know how long it would be going on for. So we borrowed as much as we could, and we liquidated as much cash as we could, because above all else, we wanted our business to survive. We've got a very good business under normal circumstances, so it's worth shoring up. So we went through all that, and I have to say I am really, really fortunate that my husband works in the business with me. I would not have liked to have gone through that on my own. I just don't think you can get through things like that on your own. And Alan really, he bore the brunt of it, to be honest. So by the end of that, he was pretty broken emotionally and kind of physically. We were exhausted. So we've kind of then resolved to take some time to recover and to put things in perspective once we'd shored up the business. So having done that, you know, if we've got to work longer before we can retire, we've got to work longer before we can retire. You know, as long as we get through this and we don't die and we hold on to the business, then, you know, that's a result as far as we're concerned. In 2019, we turned over 1.65 million. It was a little chef. So it's a cafe, but we focus on fish and chips. Fish and chips is our main seller. We employ 26 staff normally, and we've currently got 20 staff on furlough, and a lot of them live in our own accommodation. So during the pandemic, when we haven't been open, we've been paying furlough costs, which currently are costing us over £4,000 a month, hosting group communications and managing welfare, such as we held an online Christmas party for our team. And, you know, in a remote location, we've really tried to kind of focus on looking after the team and keeping them kind of healthy mentally, because it's been very isolating. I have also been working on a couple of other projects. One is a community project to do with improving disabled and rural infrastructure. So I'm volunteering to kind of try and raise public money to improve the facilities that we've got in the village. And I've also launched another company, which I've done on the back of what we learned while we were actually open. And I'll just come on to that. I'll talk about that in a minute. During the first lockdown, we invested heavily in COVID safety and in IT, like many others within the industry. We built extra hand washing facilities outside, kitted out our team in new high-vis staff uniforms, as they would be outside putting food into the boots of customers' cars when we were able to reopen. And we made sure that we registered with the relevant COVID safety schemes, which in our case was Visit Scotland's Good to Go scheme and the AA's COVID Confident. And the advantages of going for these accreditations are not only that it reassures the customers that, you know, we know what we're doing, because, you know, none of us were experts in managing a COVID safe business, but it also helped us to learn what managing a COVID safe business meant, just going through the process. Significantly, we invested in and installed an online ordering platform, and we also went cashless. This was a major change for our customers and our team, and one we are still working to perfect in the areas of communication, staff training, and e-marketing. Our team are by nature a group that like to do things consistently and to a high standard. And people that are that way inclined often find change, and, you know, this was significant change, hard to cope with. So this has presented quite a unique set of management challenges, which we are still working on. The online ordering system has yielded some astounding statistics, which I'm going to share. I have to confess that I'm lucky that, again, I've got Alan, who's done a huge amount of analysis on this. And he's actually a mathematician, that's his background. And he's really drilled down on some of these numbers to try to understand what's going on in the business. And his findings are what's shaping our future strategy. So to set the scene, the 15 weeks that we managed to open took place from mid-July to the beginning of November. And they included 1 week soft opening when we invited local key workers, such as they are. We haven't got many, but the local key workers. Then 3 weeks of car park only ordering, followed by the addition, then we opened and we had the addition of our sit-in, but with a very much reduced capacity. It was reduced by 2/3 due to social distancing. And then finally, in September, we opened our breakfast sitting, which is very popular. Initially, we opened our kiosk at the side of the building as a manned till point, as well as advertising the option for customers to order directly themselves from their own devices in the car park or, you know, over our website. Both options had the same menu and the same prices, but we very soon saw that the average spend achieved from the manned till point in the kiosk was far lower than the average spend being achieved from the direct online sales. We still wanted to staff a shift to open for breakfast, and not having hired our usual seasonal workers last March, we were short of the normal number of team members we'd have. So we decided to close the kiosk and instead encourage as many customers as we could to order directly for themselves. For those that didn't have phones or couldn't use technology, or just didn't want to, We kept the option of ordering face-to-face via a tablet in the cafe, but the fastest way for customers to order was by doing it themselves on their devices, whether they be inside or outside. So they were encouraged and helped to do this by our team. The online proportion of orders leapt to over 85% of the total sales, with the average spend of these transactions being £4 more each when compared to the face-to-face tablet sales, which made up the remainder of the total sales. So during the 15 weeks that we were able to open, we took a total of £435,000, which was about 80% of the sales that we took in the same period in 2019. But we only had 61% of the number of transactions because of the reduced capacity as that same period in 2019. So put another way, without the benefit of the online ordering system and the higher average value sale, we would have taken £55,000 less in the 15-week period that we were able to open. If you apply this hypothetically to our 2019 revenues, the 1.65 million I mentioned earlier in revenue becomes 1.94 million, which is an additional 291,000 from online ordering, which provides about 190,000 of profit, because most of your overheads are already covered. This is excess sales. So after the cost of food and some packaging and a bit of extra labour, it's all profit. This learning has been without doubt the best thing for us to come out of the current crisis. Without the pandemic causing the economic and social shock, we may never have come to understand the value of online retailing, or at least not for many years. We may have given up in trying to implement this because there have been operational challenges, and we may not have had the stomach to push through them. And the vast majority of our customers may not have had the patience that they have shown to try and adopt a mindset of working with us to help us succeed. A couple of other people have mentioned that the customers want, they want to see us succeed. They're with us. So whilst we are currently closed, I mentioned that our findings have been shaping our future strategy. And so what we're currently working on, we're not sitting around with our feet up watching daytime TV all the time. We're making the online ordering process more enjoyable for both our team and our customers to use by developing a new set of interactive online training tools using an innovative program called GatherTown as the platform to deliver that. Also, we are making our online menu presentation as attractive and as informative as we can. And finally, we're producing better marketing materials, including some table talkers and signage to help guide our customers and support our team in making this work super well. Secondly, we've been developing our spec and searching for a suitable site for our new flagship takeaway, click and collect and delivery fish and chip shop in central Glasgow, which will be supported by a dark kitchen to fulfill the digital orders. This work had already started pre-COVID, but it's now become something that we must get done to spread our risk, which is a changed emphasis when it comes to the risk aspect of this investment compared with pre-COVID situation. And finally, we're developing our online retail product range to include our home baking, and I've developed a new artisan chocolate food concept and brand. Hopefully, if I'm invited or come as to the conference next year, I'll be able to bring some goodies with me on that front. And I'm currently pitching for a retail site which will have a small cafe in it, but it essentially will be a shop window to the website. And the main aim of this company will be to export internationally. After both Alan and I recovered from the initial stress and anxiety I mentioned earlier, The COVID shockwave has actually become quite refreshing in a kind of weird kind of way. What I mean by that is that this massive disruption has created space for change and a fresh mindset of kind of anything is possible, or at least that's how it seems to me. It's a great time for growth and change in those ways, because people are open to it through being mind blown by the pandemic. Furthermore, there's considerable generosity from our customers and within the industry to help small business succeed. I won't dwell on the political response. Excellent communication has never been more crucial. Leading through uncertainty and change is when individual leaders' strengths and weaknesses are tested, and we are no exception. Those that have done best in the public eye seem to me to be the ones that have taken time to prepare, deliver clearly and concisely, making the invisible abundantly clear, and picking up on what Vicky was saying, taking time to listen to concerns and to let people have their say and try to answer questions with honesty and integrity. Trust is vital when you're trying to give anxious people reassurance. Rushing, poor preparation, insufficient information are not going to get great results. And this is the time when we all need the best possible results we can get, be it on a national scale or on an individual business by business basis. IT has revolutionized certain businesses. Online platforms like Zoom have changed the way we hold meetings. For example, I now have my weekly PT session, personal training, in my garage over Zoom, and that saves me 3 hours driving a week, there and back. Online grocery shopping has exploded, and there will be no going back for millions of shoppers in our view, and cashless is set to become a way of life. Bitcoin, we'll see. One guess of the fundamentals, one aspect of a kind of fundamental principle that's helped to kind of keep me sane is trying to always keep the faith in your own ability. I mean, we're a talented lot, just listening to all the stuff that's been going on. And it's so easy to lose perspective of that when you're stuck in your own crisis and your own rut. So keep the faith in yourself and in the rest of, the people we're lucky enough to work in this industry. So summing up, now's the time to harness the opportunity. It's, you've got to, if you're not going to be a victim, you've got to harness the opportunity and make the most of the disruption that's been caused by COVID. There will be opportunities. Be brave, but be careful. There's no room for recklessness. Fortunately, we work in a great industry with people who are happy to help one another. So we should make the most of this and lean on each other. And on this note, I'd urge you, if you would be good enough to participate in the Fish and Chips with a View marketing project that Elit's been pushing, and encourage others in the industry to do so. If they see some of us jumping on board with this, others will follow. And finally, that slogan, be kind, has been used a lot in this, throughout this pandemic, but it's got to be more than a slogan. Exactly what Vicky was saying. You've got to mean it, and you've got to live it. And that could help save someone's life. Thanks very much.
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. Incredible. I've got a few questions for you, actually. So, first of all, how do you stay motivated? From Caroline Heward.
I don't want to be a victim. I'm just so determined not to be a victim. And, no matter how bad it is, it's still better for us than it is for millions of other people, because we have the wherewithal to think outside the box. My husband and I are at an age where we can dig into a bit. We're not loaded by any manner of means, and we've had to make some financial sacrifices that we wouldn't choose to make under most circumstances, but this is exceptional. So we're doing it. You know, we believe in our ability, and you've got to overcome. If you don't, you just become a victim.
Yeah. Really good point, actually. Do you think your restaurant sales will be impacted long term now that people can order from their car and may want to eat outside more often?
I think in the long run, you know, the average spend, that information about them, I think we're going to do really well. I mean, you know, when movement starts again, I know initially I think staycationing is going to go bonkers. So, you know, we need to be ready. We're going to go from nothing to,
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be a major challenge, you know, going from nothing. All this time, my staff are sitting in the staff accommodation, watching daytime TV, and they're going to go from 0 to 150 miles an hour overnight, I reckon. So it's going to be a major challenge for people in holiday destinations. I mean, Bourton-on-the-Water, I cannot imagine how many people are going to be in Bourton-on-the-Water, and it will be the same for us. So, and I think with that kind of average spend stuff, we're going to do really, really well. And that's why we've thrown everything at shoring up the business and making sure we keep it. Yeah, sorry.
And Austin from Chippy Chat would like to ask, when do you expect to open Glasgow?
I don't know. I mean, it will definitely be this year. It will definitely be this year, but I don't know when. I mean, you know, these things do take longer normally. So I would say our priority is to get Time Drum up and going again. So, you know, spring and early summer, we'll be doing that. I would say the autumn.
Brilliant. Okay. Interesting question here, actually. Do you feel that there's enough cleaning and hygiene information for your customers? Are you taking the relevant steps towards cleaning with all this COVID going on?
I think it's been really hard to find, you know, there's been such a lot of information in so many different areas and aspects, whether it's, you know, from finance, grants, loans, personnel, you know, all the kind of changes that have happened with regard to HR. That's been, you know, it's been a massive amount to kind of try and keep on top of, including the regulations changing all the time about cleaning or social distancing or, you know, it's been massive. So is there enough information? I mean, there could almost be too much information. But I think this is where things like being a member of the NFFF is really handy, because these organisations tend to kind of do a lot of that work for you and keep you right. And doing the COVID safe accreditations, I think, really helped us. Certainly get off on a kind of confident footing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you again for a brilliant session, really inspiring.